Hello, friends. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the game all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. And joining me once again is my good friend Monty. How are you, buddy?
Great, Rodge. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. We had a great episode last time, spilling some beans about Age of Hannibal. Went over pretty well. Lots of folks are pretty excited. So for this episode, we're going to continue that a little bit, depending where you are in the world. I mean, some people could have the book, like not like shifty playtester people, but legitimate folks, right?
Exactly. It seems like they've got it in France, and I say that only because in the Discord server, the French members are kind of weighing in a little bit. And I have been mum's the word as we were sworn to secrecy outside of this video cast.
Yeah. So, but that's nice because when we're talking, we kind of don't provide every little detail or something. You could interpret something we say slightly differently. Right. So having somebody there to fill the gaps is handy. So we're going to have that again, going over the Ruses and the Epic games of Saga. So these don't just apply to Age of Hannibal. They could be played in any version of Saga, the Viking or Crusades, Age of Invasions, what have you. So that is the official topic. And let's jump into comments here, Monty.
And got quite a few.
Yeah, a lot of good comments from folks. I just picked 3 comments, so I encourage folks to go read the comments. Some of those cracked me up here, but I chose some informational comments this time here. This one is from Aaron Schmidt. He is down in the Chicago area. I know him personally. Hello, Aaron. He says, do you think Republican Roman models could be used to make Carthaginians? I have a pile of them and would like to do a couple different war bands. Now, Monty, I'm batting this one over to you, buddy.
Uh-oh. Well, so listen, number one, a couple points. Not being like a master of history, but a history lover, my understanding is that the Carthaginians, as soon as they came down from the Alps, just started putting the hurt on the Romans over and over again. And pretty quickly, they had all the Roman kit they could want. So my understanding is that they started looking more and more like the Romans themselves because they beat them big and repeatedly and took on their good shields and equipment, anything else they wanted. So I think that's fine. I would also throw in there too that, like, in the world of Saga that I live in, I know there's like this reputation of button counters, but I find the button counters generally are in Napoleonics, and they're not in Saga. So
they're literally counting buttons. There's no buttons weren't invented at that time.
Exactly.
Right?
So I think you're fine. You're fine, Aaron. That's me.
Cool. Yeah, I think so too. And I was kind of thinking about that because when I was thinking about the Carthaginians, I'm like, well, I need to get a Numidian box for my Numidian cavalry. Got to have those. And then, well, you need some Gauls too. They made up the bulk coming over, but then you need, some Spanish too. Those made up a significant portion. And then I'm like, well, then they've got the allies and they started looting stuff. So I need a Roman box too, to represent those guys. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like picking up basically 4 half war bands. I'm like, it's not going to end well. So I decided to call it at the Italians. No Roman kit in my Carthaginians is what I'm planning. But, there's a lot of Carthaginians running around out there, Monty.
Yep. That could be the focus of your warband. That sounds cool.
And we got a comment from Finian Joyce Velez. So this was related to the Greculi, the 3 different variants of the Greeks over on the Western Mediterranean. So the interesting thing was the Tarentines, the Greeks that lived on the boots, they have warriors with javelins. So this is what his comment's referring to. He says the Greek javelin arm infantry are supposed to represent Thracites, and I don't know the second one here, Theriphorial. Do you know that one, Monty?
Sounds
Are you
good.
looking at it?
That's it. I think that's damn close. Quite a few, yeah.
I only know
Quite a few
Thracites
vowels.
because in Infinity there's a Thracitai troop type, and they talk about it on podcasts, and so
Okay.
that's how it's pronounced by everybody. So I don't know if that's the actual pronunciation, but I chose this one so folks could let us know. They were the switch hitters in the successor and Hellenistic Greek armies. They functioned as medium infantry who could guard the flank of the phalanx, but they were also trained to form up into a phalanx, and I could believe they could also operate in open order. So
Nice.
thank you for that comment. Now I believe the second one, the Theriophorai, I believe those are a mercenary troop choice, aren't they, Monty?
Ooh,
remember
I
that?
think so. I think so.
Yeah, I think they are, and their rules do kind of represent this kind of mix. I think that maybe they can even switch, but they were kind of like a medium phalanx. I remember the little blurb saying so. Cool. Well, thanks for weighing in there, Finian.
Mhm.
And comment number 3. Boots on the table with Dom. I was very excited about Age of Hannibal, and now you tell us Age of Alexander is coming. Oh my God, fantastic. My only complaint is to order the books, and dice is pretty expensive. So what do you think about that, Monty? That comment?
So, yeah. So I hear his comment. The one thing that I saw mentioned in one of the many forums I go through from time to time is that the dice you're looking at here with the initial book are going to be the same through all of the books to come for the ancient world. So buy once. When the Age of Alexander comes out, they're going to use the same dice, and when the last book comes out, whatever that
Age
might
of
be,
Caesars.
there we go. It will still be the same set of dice. You are getting a nice, over the long term, you will get a nice use of the dice.
Sure, yeah. So I could see the sticker shock there, especially if you're just going to go all in and buy all 4 sets at once.
Right.
But yeah, you're getting dice for a whole age of gameplay. So at least the dice expense isn't too much, and you can always make your own dice.
Mm-hmm.
Be one of those
Another good
guys who
option.
uses a different warband's dice. Can't condone that behavior, Monty.
Oh, that's good. Right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for all the comments we got. Much appreciated. But I think it's time to move on to some hobby stuff here. Monty,
Yes.
you're the rock. Monty, you're leading us here. What have you been up to? I'm looking at a beautiful
Yeah.
battle moose.
Oh,
Great
well,
stag.
thanks, Rodge. Well, so my painting pick this month is Mercy Miniatures resin. I'm gonna hope I pronounce it right. I think it's for, gosh, they have a system. Is it Dark Worlds or Dark Lands?
Yeah, I think it's Dark Lands.
Yeah, I'm a little shaky on
Interesting.
that.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't have recognized that model from that range.
Okay, interesting. It's the name is Lefwin, and I bought it quite a long time ago when I was thinking about doing Lords of the Wild. So it looked like a suitably wild figure, someone.
Yeah, you're right about that, buddy.
Right. And I let it sit for a while. Then I finally, this last month, I kind of didn't work on any one thing. I kind of went through my unpainted collection. I grabbed some stuff here. I did 12 Byzantine archers, and I did little bits. I was working here and there, just kind of steadily bringing stuff up. And I did this one because I was pretty happy. As like a historical painter, when I get into fantasy, I kind of get nervous because, right,
Really?
I can, for
Really?
like historical. Well, yeah, because historical, there's like references, and I can look for ospreys, and when you have a battle stag, I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how the fur looks on a battle stag, but that's the
Wow.
whole point, right? That's why it's fantasy.
Right. Nobody
want?
knows what the fur on a
Exactly.
battle stag.
That's it. So I tried to get some contrast with darks and lights, and when I was done, I was pretty happy with it.
Looks
So
good. It looks. You say there's no reference material, but it looks like you looked at a picture of a deer at least before you painted it.
Exactly, that's true. Well, they come through my backyard every
Oh
night.
yeah, I
So,
got those little critters too.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's awesome. Warlord on a Beast, excellent
Yep.
choice.
Yeah.
And I hope to hear about it in the game here. What's going on with the basin here? It's kind of, it looks bluish, and is it more green
Yeah.
actually or aqua?
What did I do? I need to go look at this picture. I used the taller base that it came with, and I think I was doing, yeah, okay. My camera did mess this up. This is kind of a stone gray,
Okay.
but it's turned out like blue, like I'm almost towards robin's egg blue. That is not right. There was a color shift there.
Okay.
So
So
I don't know. The art of photography, I can get about 3/4 of the way there. I can never get the last quarter.
I'm right there with you. I'm kind of a perfectionist in some things. I can't really crack the still photos or the videos. I'm kind of giving up, just doing my best here. But yeah, obviously something with the background there. Got it all gibbered up.
Yeah.
But okay, cool, gray. Yeah, that makes more sense. I just didn't know if there was other models in your little gang there with the bases. But
Yeah, yeah. No, this one's all by itself, and I just, because I don't know, it just seemed like it would be appropriate to be standing on something. So I think I did cork with some scatter. I did work some green in there, but that's not really coming through, like some mossy dark green. And I can always, like, once I get a theme, like an actual theme for the actual warband, I can kind of come back and tweak this a little. But it's been sitting back on my in my little case forever, so it felt good to get it out, get it done. And get this. So now that I got this one done, I pulled out the swamp monster or bog monster, and it is a beastly Mercy miniature. I don't know what it's really called, but it's made up of all
yeah,
sorts of stuff. And I've tried to paint it twice, and I have stripped it because I
wow,
just was frustrated. Yeah,
I
and I never
I
do
like
that.
those
I always
stories. Yeah.
forward. Yeah, always forward, never back. But I tried one way, and I wasn't happy at the start. I tried another way, and I was trying to mix in some pigments and stuff, and then I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
happy with that either. So I was like, okay, stripping time. So I stripped it down, and I'm actually making progress. And well, maybe that'll be next month. But Mercy is the theme, and it'll be another Lord of the Wild type,
Oh, is this gonna be
monster.
your swamp monster,
Yeah,
terrain
yeah.
creature,
There you
Monty?
go. Come, there he is. Surprise.
Coming for you.
I love those.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, you're gonna get some use out of that.
Oh yeah.
So mainly that monster on the deck there for October.
Hmm. Yes, think so.
Okay.
Good progress. I think I'm gonna push through, and that's another one. These two sat on my shelf for just forever, almost a year, and I was like, I need to get these done.
Okay. Well, glad to hear it. Unfortunately, Monty, we're going into the trifecta here. I don't have a picture to share. I didn't get any hobby in, but I'm feeling the winds are changing here,
There you
along with the
go.
season. So last month
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, maybe I'll change my mind or get into it. But actually, I do have an itch right now. So there's the Hannibal thing, and then there's a new edition
Right.
of Infinity dropping as well.
Ooh. Okay.
The
Okay.
release dates are like identical. I don't know. They
Uh-oh.
somehow they sync up with Studio Tomahawk frequently because there was a big release with Age of Magic too, and so that's the other game I like to play.
Interesting.
So I'm always
Yeah.
torn on
Yeah.
that. In the meantime, I was working on the writing stuff. I'm still putting an outline together for a longer tale. I
Nice.
sort of procrastinated by reading a lot of books, Monty. Like, I don't know. I write down all the books that I read, so I can look and see that I read like 13 books in
Wow.
like a
Holy cow.
20-day period. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, this is too many books to be reading here. I'm procrastinating something. I checked out a video game from the library. I don't know if you could do that, Monty, but
Yeah. Interesting.
Octopath
Well,
Traveler, the for Nintendo Switch. It's like a RPG game, kind of reminiscent of Final Fantasy from the Super Nintendo days, if you played that. It's really fun to play. I'm going to give it an A for gameplay. I'm going to give the story like a C minus. I'm clicking through a lot of dialogue here, Monty, just to get to the fights. But I'm at the end of that, and I kind of wanted to do some hobby, but I really wanted just to finish the game and get rid of it and return it. Yeah. So I'm looking for October here. I think it will be my month here.
I think so.
It might be Infinity Models, but it's going to be something. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see where the hobby realms take us. I'm thinking about just you end up with little tidbits and stuff like that. So I've got some models from different factions in Infinity that I could just do whatever with and just kind of concentrate on having fun at first and then come up with some kind of plan. But the weird thing is, Adepticon's going to be coming soon, and I'll need to have something ready for 2021 here. Hopefully. That is going on, but still too early to tell. But if I'm going to get the Eastern Heathens ready, I'm going to have to get going on them soon. But I'm looking for October. It's going to be my month. I'm feeling it, Monty.
I think you're on.
All right.
It's going to work.
Did you get some gaming in here, pal?
I did. I actually got a nice amount of Saga in. I'm really lucky, and I'm trying to strike while the weather is good here in Minnesota, where I can.
We're on the brink.
Where we can meet up. Exactly, right? Once winter comes, the outdoor and garage gaming is going to be probably off, unless my buddies have heated garages. So, so the game I want to mention was the only game that I did a really good job of taking pictures of, and I want to mention it because number one, I let my Great Kingdom sit on the shelf for a long time, almost a year, and I broke them out against my buddy Scott's Undead. And Scott runs his Undead really well. They are tough. And he seems to always roll plenty of rares, so he can always bring back 4 warriors or crack. Really demoralizing, right? Because you go to do scoring on survival points. I'm like, yeah, and you brought back like 12, 16 figures, and I lost by that amount. You know what I mean? You got to figure it out. So this game, I tried something different. I brought up my Great Kingdoms, and because the Great Kingdoms can be a little static, I brought them with hero heavy and then on winged mounts to kind of give me the speed, right? And honestly, I've now played that build 4 times, and I've won 4 times with it, and I will never put this build away. I shouldn't say never, but why would I ever not have wing mounts? I know they're more vulnerable to shooting, but that speed and being able to hop over units. Yeah, it's just so good. So I had the Warlord on a wing mount, the Sorcerer, 2 Paladins, which you can always swap one of the Paladins out for a Lieutenant, the guy who gives up, we obey. But I ran 2 Paladins. I had 2 units of 5 Hearthguard, because that's what I'd painted up. We've talked about Hearthguard in the past. I probably prefer that as, units of Warriors, but 2 units of Hearthguard, a Behemoth, Crossbow Levy, and then Firearms Levy. And then I had like half a point left, so I slammed that into a 6-man Levy Firearms team just to generate a die. And what was interesting was we did the random battle generator, and we end up kind of like from the corner to corner deployment. So you're like, you're right up on each other, and the goal was survival points. And I was really, if you asked me as the game started, when we pulled that one, I was like, oh, I am screwed, right? I am, because these guys come back, and I've already lost to them once or twice with that whole like coming back over and over again. Well, so the way our builds were with my speed, my Paladins, He had 2 units of flying creatures. He had a scourge. He had a big bow unit in the middle in woods, which was just terrible, right? And then he had big units of warriors. And so we kind of had like a little bit of a standoff in the beginning because he knew if he came crashing into me, I've got my good defensive buffs, my shooting. I knew if I crash into him, he's got flight. He's got his necromancer with all his aggressive spells. And so we were kind of like a little slow to start. So Scott just starts hammering me with his aggressive necromancer play. He flies him up, he hammers me, he flies back, and then he does the spell where he sheds his fatigue and puts it on me.
Yeah.
And Scott also is famous for rolling lots of the best results. He gets the rare die on 1 or 2 or 3, and he always goes for it. He never takes it the lesser amount. Yes, and then I'm holding my breath. I'm like, if only he throws a 2 or a 12, I get the leg up and this nonsense stops. And then he throws like an 8, a 6,
yeah.
a 7, and he just smiles and he just keeps hammering me. So finally, like the pressure was on. I did what I should always do. I used my sorcerer, my firearms, like first soften up 1 unit with all my spells, and then soften up with some firearms. And at one point, I think I even got both levy units, even though they were 6 inches apart, to roughly shoot at the same unit. And then after it's softened up, because it's a big unit, then go charge it. And then if I have to, send in one of my flying units to pick off the last 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, I was able to take down a big unit of warriors. Then it got messy. He took my paladin with a unit of creatures. Then I took the creatures down, and then I took his archers came out of the woods because I was kind of pulling back from them. So once they came out of the woods, then we hammered them, and it went back and forth, and lo and behold, the game ended, and I nipped out a win, and I was so happy because I just didn't think I could do it. I had this sinking feeling against this army that just regenerates. But the key is just like, if you can, having the ability to take down a whole unit, then focus, take down one other unit. Don't spread your fire. You got to just do it one at a time. Pick one and hammer it.
Yeah,
and it worked.
And I think that's a good setup there with the paladins, because you have all those activations. Your warlord and those guys, and they put out a decent amount of attacks, even just on the warriors. They got good armor, and there's hop, skip, and a jump over. There's no penalty for charging over your own guys, so they can just get in there and get it done. Cool. Well, that sounds awesome. Yeah. So was that at Saga Storm, or?
That was just before Saga Storm. And if it's okay, I can just mention really fast.
Why don't we give us a little rundown on how the storm went this year?
Yeah. So it's these kind of events have all been canceled, and about a couple weeks out, there was some thought about, like, do we go forward with this? And instead, we decided to go forward with it. Just make it really clear, like in the announcement, hey, let's be really good about this. If you're coming out, we're outside, we're in the park, we're going to shut down like the nighttime game in the building. So everyone mask up. And you know what? We went ahead with it. 18 people turned out. We were all nicely spread out. Everyone was masked up throughout the day.
That's awesome. That's the biggest one.
Bigger than last
that's
year.
The biggest one that I've heard of.
Right. Exactly. I think people, first of all, we're all kind of cooped up. We're all in the same space. We're all missing our gaming. So it was a chance to get out there, get 3 games of Saga in, maybe have a little frosty beverage on the side. And everyone, it was just such a nice event. It was extra special to be able to get out and see people that I haven't seen for months. And Rodge, I may not see them again for months forward. It depends, right? It's kind of hard. So everyone was really happy and grateful that we could get out, that we had decent weather again, and we wrapped it up at 5, and everyone helped put the stuff away, and then we called it a day.
Cool. That sounds great. So you said you had 4 wins with that build. So did you have 1 win over Scott, and then three wins at the Storm?
I had the warm up. I had the warm up, and to be honest, like in my game with Scott, my behemoth, he didn't get in the game, and that always happens to me when I pick the guy who moves, 4 inches instead of 6. So I ditched him, put in some creatures, and the creatures, like even though they're terrible to shooting, they're just so fast. I held them back until like near the end, and then like on the last turn, launched them and knocked a unit out. So I used that same build at Saga Storm Day, and it was 3 good games, and I just thought, wow, why did I ever put these guys down?
Awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The winged stuff, the hero heavy really helps, really is key. All those determinations, because otherwise it can be a little static, it can be a little slow with the 2 units of levy, but boy, the winged guys give you the speed, and the creatures too.
Yeah. So with your other world, do you have the winged Hearthguard and warriors and stuff like
Yeah,
that? Do you have those models?
you
Have you
know,
have you tried to do something similar?
yeah, that's a good point. Probably if I had more winged, I could probably do a little better with the other world. Not that I do terrible with them, but I tend to when I run my other world, because they're the abyssal dwarves, all these guys with the short
Yeah.
stubby feet. I rely on eruption, and so I'm like each turn clocking a unit forward. Now that's a great plan, Raj, until you blow up your wizard on turn
Yeah.
2, which I've done. Right, now I'm just walking around the battlefield, not very fast, and I only have one. I have my sorcerer with a winged model, and I have like 8 or 10 winged warriors. I suppose I could say those are Hearthguard. I mean, what, just declare it up front. But yeah, I'm a little slow. My other world build is a little slow and not quite enough winged, I think.
Got it. Well, keep it in mind if you ever want to add some
Yeah,
demons, quick to
right.
paint, gargoyle type critters,
Yes,
just all
good
skin and
point.
stuff like that. I think that would fit in nicely with your chaps. All
I
right.
think so.
Well, glad to hear. Sounds like everybody had a good time at the storm.
Oh yeah.
Did you see any cool, cool new models there? Were people doing new things for their Age of
Oh,
Magic?
yeah, so boy, that day went by so
I
fast. I
believe
mean,
it.
it's
Yeah.
just kind of shocking. I got out there at 9, and like you're seeing people you haven't, like, we have people come in from Wisconsin, we have people come in from North
Hmm.
Dakota. I mean, these people drove. That's some serious commitment to come all the way from Bismarck, right? And catching up with people and like comparing notes. So when I walked around, the thing that just knocks my socks off is a lot of what I saw is Warhammer fantasy armies that have been collecting dust.
Yeah.
And these armies are gorgeous, Rod. You've probably seen them. You've probably seen them at North Star
Uh
events,
huh.
and
Yeah.
just breathtaking. And and some of the people were like, "Hey, I've gotten 2 games in." It's like, "Hey, no problem. Let's talk it through.
Hmm.
This is what you got. Here's some things." And so just really just it was just fun, and the fantasy element, the colorfulness, and the good painting was just at such a high level. Really, really wonderful.
Cool. Wow. Glad it went well. I did not get a game in, Monty. Now, unlike the hobby where I've been shunning it, I do want to get a game in. Unfortunately, September was dominated by family events, so that prevented my coming to the Saga Storm. Unfortunately, we tried
Sure,
to
sure.
we tried to get a little Hannibal in over the web.
Yeah,
Couldn't quite
and
coordinate that.
that was on me. My weekends got filled up pretty
Yeah,
quick.
but I'm looking forward. I want to get some games in October, but
Hmm.
yeah, my schedule's pretty clear, so I think I'm gonna make it happen, even if I gotta do the tabletop simulator route. No problems with that,
Yep.
and yeah, maybe we will get that Hannibal game in. Perhaps we shall
Yes.
see. All right. Well, speaking of Hannibal, let us dive in, Monty, to the
Yep.
ruses. So I'm
Okay.
pumped because the ruses are already available on their website. Did you look at those? Did you pull those?
I did. I saw them and I was very happy. I had like thought the ruses would just be an Age of Hannibal thing, but it's really cool that they've done a broader general. You can use this in any of the books, ruses.
Yeah, and the generic ruses as well. So on their website, you can get the generic ruses, which are
Oh,
usable.
okay.
So are
Yep.
these in the Hannibal book? Maybe they're at the.
The generic, I
They
don't
might
think
be
the
at the back.
generic ones are. Yeah, maybe they're buried. I mean, it's a big book. It could be tucked in the back. I thought those were, yeah, well, they might just be on the web. But no problem. Either way, it's good. There's the specific, and then there's generic. So you've got choices.
Yeah, I might be losing my mind here, Monty, but I believe these generic ones are the first time we're seeing this. I don't think they're in the
Oh,
Hannibal
yeah, no,
book.
no. I mean, we might be getting it confused. I might be getting it crossed. No, when I first saw the Ruses in the Age of Hannibal book,
Hmm.
I didn't have any idea that they would have generic ones that
Ah,
we
okay.
could use for each of Viking. That's what I meant. So I was a nice surprise when someone put it up in the Saga Facebook group, I think it was, and I clicked in and I thought, well, this is nice. I mean, now we can use this in the other books too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, looking through the book, I guess I was thinking. So each faction has their own specific ruses. I mean, there's 6 of them specifically. So I was thinking, yeah, these are cool, but these are kind of themed to these armies. So it seems weird that
Mm-hmm.
the Vikings would use these, but with the generic ones, it all makes sense. They do kind of have an antiquities theme to them, but you know, they're absolutely usable in any age. So definitely head over to their website, grab those. I don't know, we're getting kind of card heavy here, Monty. I will say that I got my Age of Magic
Right?
spells, my Battle of
Yes.
Heroes cards. I made the cards for the challengers
Yes, you
and
did.
the Tale of Challenges.
Yep.
Just one more card. I
Random
gotta get
battle
a
generator.
random. Yeah, I gotta get my binders going. Um,
You need a side table to the table to put all your
mhm.
stuff.
But yeah, head on over and you can kind of follow along with what we're doing. And it doesn't explain how to use them on the website. So technically, you will need the Age of Hannibal. But if you listen real close to what we say, you can probably use them that way. But it's not too hard to figure out. But so ruses, these are optional, Monty. They
Mm-hmm.
require your opponent's permission. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to use them, they're going to use them too. So it's not like
Yep.
you're going to show up. You mind if I use these ruses?
I'm Hannibal, and you're a terrible Roman general, so I get to do these things, and you just stand there as I whip
Hmm.
you.
And so if you go to an event, you would need the organizer's permission. And just looking at it, I don't think there would be any issue if an organizer wanted to use those. You know, that it would
Yeah.
stop you. I guess looking at it, I probably would try to make them some kind of like random element so you can't,
Oh.
just get the exact ones that you need. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what fun is being able to do the exact thing you want to do, Monty? This is
Right.
Saga after all. We
I
don't
like
want
that.
that. Um, yeah. So the ruses. So you get ruse points equal to your army points. So for playing a 6-point game, you're gonna get 6
Mm-hmm.
ruse points. And if you're looking at the ruse cards, there's little coins at the bottom there. So that's how many ruse points they will cost you. So they cost between 1 and 3. So a junky one to be 1, and presumably something really good would be a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 4 types of ruses. Monty, do you have it open before you? Could you do this
Ooh,
part?
I did. I clicked down to a specific. Let me just get down to the right section. There we go. So the 4 kinds are recruitment, preparation, veterans, and stratagem.
Yeah. So let's dive into the recruitment ones, shall we? So
Mm-hmm.
this is the ones that, if you look at the generics, there are no recruitment ones because these are basically themed pretty heavily to the armies. So you can basically take one recruitment that's unique and then as many generic as you want. But there's no generic ones at this time. I don't know. It's kind of confusing that they would say that if there's none available. But so, for example, you could, for one ruse point, for the Carthaginians, there's a ruse called Alliance with Philip V of Macedon. Your army cannot contain more than one elephant, and a single contingent unit can be equipped with sarissas.
Nice.
So, and somebody actually chimed in last time to point that out, because there was only one unit of sarissas in the entire book, as far as we could tell, with the Epirus Greek variant. So there you go. So these are basically, when you're building your army, you'll plop that card down, show your opponent, and you can unlock stuff. The Romans, the penal legions. Did you look at that one, Monty?
I did. Not good.
Yeah, I don't. Basically, you're getting more levy, right? And you can take levy with no equipment options, and then they're like your little maniples. So it could be a levy horde of Romans, which, with all those defensive abilities, could be quite. I mean, you're looking at Anglo-Saxons all over again, man.
Oof. It's a lot of painting, but if you got the figures, you could break that out on your buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are pretty cool. These are themey. So, going back to what, if you're using random or not, I guess these ones you'd have to know ahead of time so you could build the right stuff. But I like these ones. These are themey, and just add even more variants to the armies. I think they're pretty cool. The preparation ruses, Monty. Do you know when we use these ones?
Well, preparation has to be at the start of the game.
Yeah, you're on the right track, my friend.
We're
looking, these are deployment, terrain, and kind of first turn related things. Do you just want to call one out here, Monty, as an example? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, let me click down. What have we got here for the... Oh, man, sorry. My PDF is a little bit slow. So, preparation, Hannibal. Hannibal's victory. Okay, so this is for the Carthaginians. Punic perfidy. There we go. Choose one of your units of 8 figures or less. Remove it from the table during your first turn. This unit can enter play via any free move action measured from any point of either of the 2 table edges. So that is kind of exciting. You're going to be coming in as a surprise. If the unit cannot enter the table this way, it must enter the table from any point on your own. But you should be able to get it in on one of the 2 table edges not assigned. So it'd be the 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. That's that's kind of powerful.
That's Hannibal, baby.
Right.
Well, it's 2 coins. It's 2 coins, Monty.
Still got 4 to spend.
4 to spend. Example of a generic one is refused flank. Use it once both warbands are deployed, but before this turn starts, and you get to redeploy up to 2 of your units. So that could be handy. Ooh. Put out some bait.
That's good.
There, and then take it back.
Right.
So there's no limit to these preparations. So you can basically use as many of these as you want if you want to burn your whole kit and caboodle. But up next are the veterans. So I'll talk about those ones. So it's basically exactly what it sounds like. You play it on a unit once it's deployed. So we're getting closer to actual gameplay here. We're getting closer and closer. After deployment, you'll put them, or actually, I think when you deploy them, you're going to use the card. And you can only have 1 veteran ability per unit, but you could spend all your points on these veteran abilities if you want. And one little spanner in the works is that for victory points, they count as mercenaries. So for massacre, it's going to cost 1 or 2 extra. Survival can mess with your calculations there. So couple examples here. So I'm pulling these from the generic ones. So Stoic, this unit suffers no fatigue when a friendly unit is eliminated. So that's handy, depending where you're going on. It's just 1 coin. And you can see they're not too crazy because this one costs 3, and it's called Training. And when this unit fights in melee, it can re-roll a single defense die. So, I mean, it's good. You're using like half of your total points for that ability. So, for the most part, they seem pretty fair and balanced.
Yeah.
Are there any interesting ones that you're looking at there, Monty?
For
Veterans.
For veterans, let's try for the Numidians, African horsemen, mounted units only. Each time this unit wins a melee, they can choose to withdraw. The withdrawal move changes to M if they inflict at least 1 casualty on their enemy. If they withdraw, the enemy does not need to. So that's kind of like reflecting the color.
Yeah.
They hit and run, shoot and scoot, and it's only 2 coins.
That's awesome. Wow, that's fun. There's a couple of those huge withdraw abilities sprinkled throughout the battle boards. I always like those ones for some reason. That's really cool. The last one there, Monty, is the stratagem cards.
Yep.
Do you know when we use these ones?
Yeah, why not stick with? Why not? Why don't we? Oh, stratagem. I mean, that's in the game.
You got it. The cards themselves will tell you when to use them. So, a lot of the times, these are kind of like saga abilities almost, but they're saga abilities that. This is how good they are. These are saga abilities that even if you have that symbol and it's 1 common, you're not really sure that you want to use it. You would rather almost do an activation. So that's the power level of these abilities. But them being a secret, though, has a power in it of itself. So I don't think they can be too strong. So that's kind of, when I was reading through them, that's kind of what I felt. But going back, I think some of these generic ones are actually pretty good. Do you have any stratagems up, Monty, that you're looking at?
I do. If we can stick with the Numidians here, because it just fits with what you just said just a minute ago there. So the stratagem card is called Withdrawal, and it's mounted units only. Use this card after an enemy unit has been activated for a charge or shooting attack, but before it's resolved. Activate your unit targeted by this charge or shooting action for a move. So there you go. There's another shoot and scoot. They're going to be like water bugs. They're here, they're there, you're chasing them, they're running away.
So that one,
it's going to be mad.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty good, I would say, but it is 3 coins.
Yep, it is 3.
Another one for the Numidians, Execution. Use this instead of an advanced saga ability during a shooting attack. Discard a fatigue from an enemy unit and reduce their armor by 1. So 2 coins for that one. So there is some secretive stuff, but a lot of these are 2 and 3. So you might just have like 3 or 4 total through the entire thing. So if you want to take your pikemen, and redeploy them, you might not be doing much at all. So it just kind of adds an extra little element to your game. So I'm looking forward to using these. I don't really see any reason not to. They do recommend playing, if you're doing Age of Hannibal, to play some games with the Age of Hannibal boards themselves before adding this later on, but I don't know. We're pros, Monty. We could probably do it.
I think we can handle it. I think we can. We'll take that risk.
So, head over to the Studio Tomahawk website and print these bad boys out. You will not be disappointed. And I think we explained everything about them. Is there anything else that we missed?
I think that's it. I think it's just take it down to the local print shop, get them done, and then, if you don't have a nice color printer, get them sleeved, mix them up, and have a little fun.
You got the right of it, Monty. No more printing these out at the fancy office color copier anymore. I don't know.
Right? Oops, your boss comes around. What are you printing?
Yeah, at my workplace we never had it, but my wife did, and they got like this high quality, like a semi-gloss paper. She was doing everything for me, man. But
Oh,
no
wow.
longer.
Yeah.
Sad
Oh, well.
times. All right. Um, what's the other topic, Monty? What were we going to talk about?
That would be Saga Epic, which we thought it was epic by itself, but it's actually just a new way to play large battles. And not just large battles, but especially to try to get a couple, 3 people per side in a game of Saga. And we've kind of done like big Saga before. I know I missed out on it, but there was a Crusader era game with at least 3 people per side. And it does take a little time, and we do big battles also generally to end the big Saga Storm, but the battles get so big, and since we're going by sides, you could be like at one end of the table. We just yell, it's, red team, it's blue
Yeah.
team.
So kind of
Yeah.
everybody's
But
going.
this is more, this is more polished. This is more polished, and I'm really curious to give this one a try.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of thought was put into it, and you know, probably play tested a few big games. Must have been an endeavor, but
Mm-hmm.
great as multiplayer. But definitely, I mean, you can just play one-on-one too. And
Right.
so the epic games are between 12 and 18 points, and they consist of 3 war bands, and the war bands have to be between 3 and 8 points. But you do kind of have like a number one. I can't think of the word I want to say. Primal, number one war band that has to be half of your points, and so you could have one 8-point war band and then 2 4-pointers if you're playing 16. But you could have 2 3-pointers and then a huge one. It just depends on what the heck you're doing here. But I like that you can kind of mix it up, and if somebody only has 5 points, it's a great way to get a newbie in, essentially. If they just have the 4 points, hey, come on, I'll let you be my right wing, and I'll handle the left wing in the center, and with my boys here, and you can move your own guys around. So I think that's really cool. So if you're using 3 different war bands, you're going to have 3 different battle boards. But if you're using the same faction for some of them, you're going to end up using the same battle board. So there is, it could be good, I guess, because you're going to be loading that board up. You could like leave dice for the next guy to use, so you could have a little bit more power or something like that. But I like the variety option here. So we talked about, the Hannibal, the Carthaginian armies. You had the Gauls, the Numidians, and the Spanish, and your Italian allies. So this is another way to do it. I mean, you have the Carthaginians army with your like elephants and your citizens and your African infantry, and then you have your Numidian army, and then your Gallic army. So it's just another way to do it. I think that's really cool. And obviously, everybody used allies and everything back then. So I think it's pretty darn themey for Age of Hannibal here, Monty.
Really liking it.
So the one thing to know about is you only have one warlord. The other warlords are kind of demoted to commanders. And did you catch what's different about these guys? They're basically warlords for all intents and purposes, but they're not as aggressive.
Yep, their aggression was at half of a standard warlord.
Yeah. Well, the melee is at half; it's a 4, but the shooting is only a 1. So isn't a shooter warlord is a 4 normally? So take a big hit.
The shooting got toned down a little.
So you kind of have your sub commanders, and it's played on a 3x6. According to these official rules. Scenery. Basically, you just kind of alternate. You can have 1 extra of everything except for like the one large hill. It's still one. So anything that's limited to one is just one. But like you could have, instead of two swamps, two Swannies. We're looking at three Swannies, my friend.
I'm in.
All in. So you're gonna have between 6 and 7 of those pieces. So I mean, you got some stuff in there to play with, but you're gonna be smashing these armies together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, did you pick up on how the armies are activated, Monty?
Yeah,
Are you knowledgeable enough to
really,
describe this to the folks?
it was clever, and I need to think about it. I mean, it's your team is assigning numbers secretly for the 3 war bands, and they're assigning numbers to yours, and then you flip them and reveal to see which order they go in.
One player will get a 1, a 3, and a 5, and the other player gets a 2, a 4, and a 6. And then that, you, just like you said, you assign them to your different war bands. And then, at the start of the turn, you flip them over and the number 1 goes. So you get to kind of dictate the order, and it could be, well, if he does this first, then I got to do this. But then, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm going to leave myself out for that. So I think that's really cool. Definitely adds a lot of strategy, especially I think for the single player element. But I think it'd be fun for multiplayer too. Give me the 2, man. I need to go in. Give me the 2. I'm like, no, you're 6. You're 6. No, give me the 2.
There could be some controversy there. I'm ready, coach.
So yeah, that's how the different warbands activate. And basically once they go, it's just like your turn, except there's a lot of bodies out there. It's 8 turns. The interesting thing is, for the first turn, you're stuck with 2 Saga dice. And then the second turn is 4. So there's a lot of kind of moving up. So nothing, you can't stack something up and deliver a critical blow, it seems, at the start of the turn. And then, all right, Monty, another quiz coming up here. So do you remember how do you win the game? So we're not using massacre points or survival points, any of that stuff, which is actually that's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind something like that for a regular Saga game. Yeah. Losing the math. So do you remember what the victory conditions are?
Right. So the one you want to avoid, if you each survive all 8 rounds and the game ends, it basically is treated as the battle ended without a decisive decision. So it becomes a draw, which can be fun, but the better one is one of the 2 armies rout through demoralization and routing.
Yes.
So that's what you really want to do, is break the other guy's army or war bands.
Exactly. So your army breaks when 2 of the war bands are demoralized. So you have 3 of your little units there. So maybe taking that 3-point war band for whatever reason, maybe it's not looking so good at this stage of the game. But the way you demoralize a war band is every time it loses one of its units, it has to be completely wiped out. You take a morale test and you just roll a d6. And if you have a commander, you get to roll a second one. And you're trying to roll high here, Monty?
I'm trying to remember. Was it you're rolling against your Saga dice? So as your Saga dice get less, I think that's what it is. You roll against your Saga dice. I can't put my finger on it real quick here.
Yes. So if you generate a lot of Saga dice, that's good. You want to roll under that. If you roll higher, then you are demoralized. So a demoralized warband, some of the abilities we'll get into could affect that, but the big thing is a demoralized warband can only declare 1 charge each turn. So that's super huge. And then once two of your warbands are demoralized, they are done.
Boom. Yep. Game.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you could, that's good enough to to play a big game, Monty, don't you think?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But we have another layer.
We
have the
do.
mayonnaise
It
on
gets
top.
it gets deeper.
Some people don't need the mayo. I can take it or leave it. I usually leave it, but some people need it, and there's inspiration abilities on top of all this.
Mm-hmm.
So you start the game with a bunch of them, and then you can kind of generate a few throughout the game, as if your warlord is kicking butt, and if your guys get to the other side of the table, that's the main one, is to get your troops to the other side. So that encourages you to get out there, no hanging back in the mega battles.
Right.
Nothing worse than a mega battle coward. Is there, Monty? Is there?
No, absolutely. No. The very worst.
Yeah, so these are pretty simple. Basically, they're orders or orders reaction abilities that come from your warlord. So I'm guessing if your warlord is dead, it's probably not going to be working out for you, Monty.
All right.
So initially I thought this was a bit much my first way through, but it's actually quite simple. So these inspirational abilities are all on one page. So it's kind of like another battle board of cool stuff that you get to use, Monty.
Right.
So everybody will have their Age of Hannibal book open to this page, and you'll be putting your little tokens down. I guess you need something there. The Yams Viking tokens will get some use finally for the epic games of Saga. So yeah, you're going to spend these inspiration points, and they're between 1, 2. I'm looking at a 4, 1. Monty, do you have this page up?
I do.
Why don't you hit us with one of these?
Yeah, I want to hit you with the one that just like it just shines. First pass. I look at this and I'm like, this is probably something like this is going to be a good reason why these games won't take probably 4, 5, 6 hours, right? Because you get a big game, you're like, how long will it take? So
Yes.
I'm going to pick the one. It's General Assault. It's orders. It's 3 inspiration points. So expensive, but you started with, if you had 16 points, you started with 8. So you could do at least a couple of these in a game. And plus you're generating some inspiration. It says General Assault, orders 3 inspiration points. This turn, the first charge activation for each unit is free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, how about that? That would be a free. That means all your Saga dice can be parked on abilities, or you can multi-charge, and you just come across the board, just up and down the line. That's going to be pretty. That's either going to work really well or not.
Well, I like this one, Decimation. It's only 1 inspiration point. It's orders used on your turn. So eliminate a unit that generates no Saga dice and a demoralized warband. So there's additional penalties to being demoralized here. So take those five levies off the 3 warriors. Get them out of my way. I don't want you charging me for free next turn.
All right.
And then that'll counts as a break for demoralization purposes, I believe, because the unit's eliminated. I believe that's how that would work. But why don't you hit us with one more, Monty, and then I'll do one more. These are pretty fun. I mean, they're good effects, and both sides will get them. And I think it's like you said, just keep things moving along here.
Right. So what if you stacked this one with General Assault? This one is 2 inspiration points. So if it's orders again, breakthrough. Each friendly unit gets 2 bonus attack dice during every melee this turn. So if you combine that with General Assault, you're going up and down the line, and you're like, you get 2, and you get 2, and you get 2. That seems very efficient.
Yeah, that one's good. I like that one. Boom, boom, boom. For me, I'm going to do... Ooh, this one's pricey. So this is the 4-pointer. And I think it costs 4 just because it's a defensive ability and they don't want you to use it. Until the end of the turn, Friendly units that have closed ranks get +1 bonus to their defense size. Well, actually, that is quite powerful. So it's probably worth 4. And in Hannibal, I know there's some synergies with this for sure. And definitely the Romans might be not one step back every turn. Boom, boom.
Oh, no. Right. Till they run out.
Well, you got to get to the other half of the table. Then you drop it.
Yeah.
So you're
That's right.
getting inspiration points, and they trying to push you back, but it's not working. So it was fun having this extra stuff to play with. And, Monty, there's no rule saying you can't just use this in your 6-point game. If you want to go nuts, man, we'll do the ruses, we'll do the inspiration, and we'll throw it in. These could be really fun for Age of Magic, don't you think, Monty? Because it's kind of,
I think so.
At this point, I think it's, for a lot of people, it's kind of played out with just the 6 factions. But like you said, there is a lot of variety, and the forces you can take, but once people find what they like or what's working for them, then they kind of stick with it. But I think the ruses and these inspirational abilities would be great for Age of Magic to spice things up. If you got some folks who that's all they want to do, you could keep the fun going.
Yeah. I think so, Rodge. I mean, look, I have not played Warhammer Fantasy, but when I see my buds playing it down in the club back last December or January, they would talk about how they had like objectives, they had secret objectives, and then when they did an objective, they'd pull another objective card, and it was, as I listened to the story, I thought, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds like a nice bit of Chrome. I kind of was like, I kind of be nice to sneak that over here into Saga. Well, these are our bits of Chrome here to kind of give you some depth and some layers.
It's the cookie crunch to the candy bar. If you want it, I mean, you can just be the 3 Musketeers or the Milky Way guy, or you could be the Snickers or the Kit Kat here with that Candy Crunch. So, I hope you are excited being regaled with these additional tidbits from Age of Hannibal. Definitely a lot there. If you are not especially interested in the Ancients Age at this time, I still think it's a good buy, a good pickup. I'll be curious what kind of extra stuff they throw in to the other Ancients books. I mean, so those factions will have their own ruses for sure. I would say for sure. Right. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
But then you're going to have this extra 5 or 6 pages at the back. They got to put something in there. So maybe there'll be some more fun stuff along the way.
I like it.
But okay, man. Well, I think we hit it pretty hard tonight. We always do. No. I thought this would be a quick. I didn't have anything to talk about for my own purposes, and it's still hour and a half.
Yes.
But that's all right. We give the people what they want. Hopefully you've painted plenty of models during this process, an elephant or two, and I think that's it, Monty. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time.
We'll come up with something.
I think we will. But in the meantime, looking forward to everybody picking up their Age of Hannibal books and getting some games in. Pop on over to the Discord server. That is getting pretty darn active, I will say, Monty.
It really is.
Pop in there from time to time, and there's lots of discussion topics, and it's very, very interesting. So
and Rodge, if I can just kind of go in behind that and say, so what I especially love about the Discord server is that the people in that server are across the globe, right? So like in our little world of, the Minneapolis Saga players, there's like what we know. And then, someone posts up and they're like, this faction is broken, or this is terrible, or this doesn't work. And then someone in Poland or someone in the Netherlands or someone in Germany like weighs in and says, right, actually, and then they give you the lowdown, and people are willing to share tips, tricks, give you some feedback on your painting. It is a nice bunch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, some Saga Thursday faces on there, JP, Hamza, and others. Is it the best way to get in touch with you, Monty, for Saga purposes?
Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it here, folks.
Yes, it does. It works. It works.
Send me an email or get onto the Discord if you need some of Monty's wisdom. He's just oozing it out of his lovely face and hair. And it's getting weird, so I better get out of here. Let's take off.
It's been a long
Too
day.
many sparkling waters. I'm getting a little loopy here, Monty. But thank you for listening and watching. As always, we will talk to you guys next time. Have fun.
Later.
Saga!